in his career, where it seems like everything is going against him. And so therefore, at that point, with guidance from the Creator, the Prophet, peace be upon him, expanded his horizons. So it's not just your family, it's not just the people in your locality, but now it starts to expand. And this is important because this starts to fulfill the ultimate goal of Islam, which is to reach the whole world. That's not an easy job because they're in the Arabian Peninsula. At the time, very narrow, restricted place. But he starts to expand. And he went up to Taif, he went up into the mountains south. He was rejected. And he was brutally tortured. And he went to other tribes. Amongst them mentioned was the Banu Kalb, the Hanifa, the Amir, and these famous tribes, they rejected the message as well. There were individuals who were coming into Islam, but the tribal groupings, because of their tribal mentality, they didn't see that it was possible really to accept something like this that has no power base. It has no lineage base. It's nothing culturally that they can relate to. And it is around that time that people started coming from the north, from a city called Yathrib. And that is what is now Medina. And Yathrib is a mountainous area. Mecca has mountains around it, but it's low level, like it's sort of like sea level or just above. But Medina, you're starting to go up, and you actually go into volcanic territory. When I first went to Medina as a student, going to the desert from Canada, I was expecting everything to be hot, but it was the winter time, and it's actually cold in the winter. So I was comfortable with a woolen jacket. Just think about that relative to our temperatures. That would be like fall, deep fall. That's how cold it was. So daytime it's warm, sometimes even hot in the so-called winter. But at night, it would get very cold because of the level that it's on in terms of its geography. So there were people from two tribes, the Aus and the Khazraj. These people were originally from Yemen, Arab al-Araba, and they had migrated hundreds of years before, and they settled in this area. And so they responded. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, met with them secretly, because everything still has to be done in secret in the area of Mecca, because he's back around the area of Mecca, in a place called Mina. And these are famous places now because Mina is, when you're making Hajj, remember, there's Mecca and then you go to Mina. Okay, so it's in that area, valleys and mountains. There's a place called the Aqaba, and this is where he met the people of the Aus and the Khazraj, and they wanted to become Muslim. They were interested. And they went back to their people, and as we will see later on, the Prophet, peace be upon him, responded, eventually sending Mus'ab ibn Umair as an ambassador to the people there in Yathrib. So this now is an expansion, okay, expansion of horizons. The next major expansion, and you could say this may be the greatest expansion of his life. He's reached the lowest point of his life personally, his life as a prophet, and now expansion will happen. And this will be probably the greatest expansion that he's ever had. And it takes place in the area of Jerusalem, Al-Quds. And this is a picture here you can see of Jerusalem. And there is a common misunderstanding that the golden dome that you see there, that this is called the Dome of the Rock. And then if you go to the left, you will see there a building, and so that is called Masjid al-Aqsa, okay, by some people. The reality is the whole area there, which is where you can see the wall that is going around, it makes this rectangle. That whole area there is Masjid al-Aqsa. Okay, so this is a common mistake people think. They think, okay, you're in the Dome of the Rock or Masjid al-Aqsa. That whole area, even in the open area, under the trees, anywhere within that walled section there is what we would consider to be Masjid al-Aqsa, which is very significant because it is in this area that the second major house of worship for the belief in one God was built by Ibrahim, alayhi salam, the Prophet Abraham. The first was in Mecca, and so this was the second. So this is of great significance to Muslims. And people might say today, with all the turmoil, and it's interesting that we reach this point in terms of what we're studying, because the situation there in Jerusalem and in Palestine is reaching critical levels. And there's a lot of questions and a lot of misunderstandings and confusions. And for those who are accepting Islam, it's important for us to understand what is the basis of the deen, of the way of life. What is our basis as Muslims? Then you can go into the politics. So the politics can become very complicated, although really, for anybody who really looks at history straightforward, it's pretty clear what's going on in terms of the Palestinian people being oppressed and this land being occupied. However, it's important for us to have the foundation of the religion itself. Okay, from that foundation, then you look at the politics. Okay, and not the politics, and then you look at your religion. You see, so this is really important, especially for a new Muslim. So that whole area there is Masjid al-Aqsa. And the buildings that are there, the Dome of the Rock and Masjid al-Aqsa building, this furthest masjid there, that was built after the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him, by the Umayyads, one of the dynasties of Islam over 100 years after the Prophet ﷺ had passed away. And so before that time, there were no huge buildings like this. Okay, there was a wall. And the walls that go around date back to the time of Prophet Sulaiman, Prophet Dawood, peace be upon them. This was a sacred area as well. So the wall structure, for the most part, can't say 100%, but for the most part, that wall structure goes back to the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam. But inside of it, that is considered Masjid al-Aqsa because the word masjid means a place of prostration. Okay, it doesn't mean a nice building with a dome, a green dome or whatever. No. It's a place where you prostrate to Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said on one occasion, Ju'ilat li al-arda masjidan wa tahura. The whole earth has been made for me a masjid, a place of prostration and a place of purity. And so he told the followers, wherever you are, you can make your prayers. Of course, it's got to be an area, we want it to be clean and there's certain conditions, but basically the whole earth is a masjid. So that's the general term for masjid itself. So the significance of this, okay, question?
What does hijrah mean?
So hijrah means the migration. Okay, so the first hijrah was to Ethiopia, right? The first migration. But the major hijrah, which is called al-hijrah al-kubra, the major one is the one that goes from Mecca to Medina. Okay? And so this takes place 12 to 16 months before the hijrah, is when this event takes place. And the Prophet ﷺ is there in Mecca, and according to the sources that we have, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was in his home, or the place he was taking shelter in Mecca. Some say it's the house of Mut'im, who was giving him a place to stay because he was under threat. And the angel Jibreel came to him. And the angel brought with him al-buraq. So the buraq is a type of steed. It's a type of animal. It's somewhere in between like a donkey and a mule. But we'll just call it a steed, a riding animal. There's a lot of superstition and imagery and things surrounding this. And so some of the imagery paints the horse has got wings. But actually there's no real authentic proofs to say that the horse actually, or the animal actually had wings. But the ability of this steed, I'll call it, was that, it could, when it's taking a step, it's huge distances, it can actually fly and take him into huge distances from where he is. So this is something which is supernatural. It's supernatural. And again, this is the expansion of horizons now. So now you're looking at the Prophet in a different way, not just an earthly way. You are now seeing the supernatural aspect of nubuwah, of prophethood, that is now taking place and coming to play. So the animal now, this buraq, took him from Mecca all the way to Jerusalem. And this is in the evening. So the animal took him all the way. Now, of course, that's strange for somebody living in those days. That for us, that's not strange. We have different ways you can fly that we have created. Never mind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not strange in the ability to go from one place to another. And there's a chapter in the Quran which is called Al-Isra, Surah Al-Isra, or Bani Israel, children of Israel. And Isra means the night journey. So in this, Allah is saying, Subhanalladhi asra bi abdihi laylan min al-mashar al-haram ila al-mashar al-aqsa. So glory be to Allah, who took his slave, meaning the Prophet, on a night journey from Mashar al-Haram, that's Mecca, to Mashar al-Aqsa. And then it says, Alladhi barakna hawlahu linuriyahu min ayatina. And that is the place in which we blessed its surroundings. Again, why is this place so important to Muslims? Because some people will say, well, what do you people want with this place? This is Christians and Jews. But the Quran is saying that the surroundings of Mashar al-Aqsa, Jerusalem and its surroundings, are actually Mubarak. They are blessed places. Okay? So this is of critical importance to us when we look at that. So in this evening now, the Prophet, peace be upon him, landed there within this complex. Now the place where he landed, if you look at the picture there, you see on the left where the masjid is, that some people call Masjid al-Aqsa, but it's the whole area. Just to the left of that, where the wall would come on the left side. Okay, it is there approximately. This is where he landed, and according to what came to us, he tied the steed on Ha'it Suleiman. It is on the wall of Suleiman. So in our traditions, there was a wall. Okay, so he tied the animal on the wall of Suleiman, and if you get a chance to go there, inshallah, you will actually see the place where they believe, he tied, the Burak there in Masjid al-Aqsa. And again, this is the supernatural. And within that evening, the different prophets were made to appear in front of the prophet. So these prophets who came to different nations, different tribes, the exact number is not said to us. Again, this is a spiritual thing in a sense, but it is a reality, because the fact that Allah said He took His servant on a journey. So this is actually a journey. Some people believe, they say this was a dream. So this is a position of some Islamic scholars, but the major position is no, it was physical. It was a physical journey. Okay, but there's a spiritual aspect of this that defies the physical world. Okay, so he went on the journey, and now the prophets came to him. And he led them in prayer. He led them in prayer. This is another significant point for us, because it means that he is considered to be the imam of the prophets. So he's the leader of the prophets. And following this, the angel then came and tested him. It tested him with a vessel that had milk and a vessel that had wine, and said, drink. You got to choose. And so he chose the vessel with the milk. And the angel told him that this is a great blessing, because if you had chosen the one with the wine, your nation would have been destroyed. Okay, so he chose the milk naturally. Remember now, the actual prohibition of wine did not come till later on now. Those of you who have some idea of the seerah, it came after the migration. This is before the migration. So drinking wine actually was permissible. But it was looked down upon because of what it was doing to people, and because the prophet was on what the angel called the fitrah. You chose the natural way in submission to Allah by not drinking the wine. Okay, so this was a test that he went through. And within that evening now, then a type of staircase was opened up. Detailed descriptions we don't have. But if you look back now, you see where the Dome of the Rock is there. So it is in that area, upon a rock, that a type of staircase was opened up, and then he went up with the angel. He went up into the heavens. Okay, and this picture here, you can see the rock that's there. That is the rock, or what's left of it. And the Umayyads now, they covered it. They wanted to protect it. So they covered it, and then they put this dome on the top. So this is called the Dome of the Rock. Okay, so that's the rock upon which the Prophet, peace be upon him, went on his night journey, Mi'raj. That's the Mi'raj, which Araja. So he went up from this place. And some people say the rock is floating in the air and whatnot. I mean, I had a chance to go there, and you can actually go downstairs and you can make salat under it. Okay, there's a room down there, and people make 2 rakats down there. But the rock is connected to other rocks, like it's not floating in air, because there's a lot of superstition that's surrounding this place. But again, this is supernatural. So this is a supernatural belief that we have. And he went up into the first heaven, or the skies. The first sky. So there's different levels. You go out of our atmosphere, right? We're flying in. Okay, I think there's something. Yeah, just check that. Yeah. Okay, so we're flying in our atmosphere. 30,000 feet or so if you're flying in a plane. But now out of our atmosphere around the earth and through it, and out now you have to go higher and higher and higher and higher. There's different levels. So in the first heaven, or the sky, sama, it's not Jannah, right? So we use the word sometimes, it's translated sometimes as the first heaven. But in English, people translate Jannah as heaven. Okay, but we will say it's more paradise. So the first heaven means sama, the first sky, the first level of universe.